voice, your views, your vision.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfire.
Adopting a new pet is a Adopting a new pet is a rewarding experience. And shelter pets make super pets. Your new best friend will steal your heart, bring you happiness, and enrich your life for years to come. You can make a difference in the life of an animal. Adopt and bring home a shelter pet today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Know what?
What?
Since I got adopted, I've learned a lot about these humans.
I know. I mean, check out these two. It's Flirt City over here.
Yeah, I noticed that. It looks like my human is definitely into your human.
Oh, look! I think she's getting his number.
Nice.
Your human's got some sweet moves.
Takes after his dog. Oh, look, they're doing that thing where they put their arms around each other.
She kicked up a leg. It's like in the movies.
That's awesome. Looks like we're going to be hanging out a
Live with a human for a while, and you get to know a few things. Like, I know she does strange tricks for no treats. But the one thing I will never, for the life of me, know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
So, I got this new family. And I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Being a dad can be tough.
No. What do you mean she's not coming?
When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now.
But when you're willing to do anything...
It is I, Cruz Zinkelpel. Yeah. Okay, time for cake.
It's always worth it.
I know it's really you, Drew. I'm just pretending for the other kids.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit...
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at Mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
All right, give me a spot. You know my motto, safety first.
They could be dangerous. I think we should call animal control.
Animal control?
To be safe.
Don't worry.
Just...
I got this. It's a new motto.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all working with United Way for a million little reasons. The kids of our communities. To ensure their academic success all the way to graduation day. You see, it takes about 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a kid becoming one or the other could be a professional athlete, or it could be you. Studies showed the earlier we get to kids, the better their chances. So become a United Way volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, and make a difference in the life of a child, for the life of that child.
Give.
Advocate.
Volunteer.
Live United. Join your favorite NFL players. Take the pledge. Go to unitedway.org.
children, our future. We take pride.
Hospital Center's Vice President of Planning, Marketing, and Public Relations, your co-host for tonight's HealthBeat television program. This is our first show of the year, and we welcome you, our many viewers, to HealthBeat. And as always, we encourage you to continue participating in the program by calling 718-960-7241 with any questions you may have. That's 718-960-7241. And as always, we promise to do our very best to keep you medically informed and healthy by discussing the topics that are of interest to you, our viewers. Please tune in every Monday evening from 6:30 to 7 p.m. on Channel 67, and you can also find out more information about Bronx, Lebanon, and its many community services online at our website, bronxcare.org. Tonight, my co-host, Dr. Milton Gums, Bronx, Lebanon's Vice President and Medical Director, and I will be discussing the important role of the ER nurse, as well as its nursing staff, in responding to the needs of our Bronx community.
Yes, Errol, our emergency room is among the busiest places in our hospital. Last year, it responded to 141,000 visits. Joining us this evening are three outstanding nurses from Bronx, Lebanon's emergency room. Tony Ramgahan, Assistant Director of Nursing, Carl Smith, Assistant Nursing Care Coordinator, and Carol Ortega, Registered Nurse. Each of these nurses are highly experienced and very knowledgeable in their respective ER field.
Now, before we hear from each of you, our panelists, let me once again encourage you, our viewers, to call in with any questions or comments you may have. The number to call is 718-960-7241. That's 718-960-7241, and please call us. Now, let me begin the program by asking you, Mr. Ramgan, what is the role of an ER nurse? And then we'll move on to our other two panelists.
The ER nurse role is very challenging. It's one that's demanding. We're in the forefront in the community to receive patients when they come in with ambulances, when they're walking into the emergency room. And it's one of the roles that requires the nurse to do many things. They have to be knowledgeable. They have to have good customer service skills. They're one that's there to have to critically think. They have to be critically thinking on their feet.
Right.
So it is a very challenging role for the ER nurse, but it's one that we have a great team
and Mr. Bender, what do you have to say
that can handle this.
Yeah, each day in the ER is very different. Faces different challenges. You can't prepare for a day. You just gotta prepare your mind as you go on, and it entails a lot of teamwork, and we work as a team.
Right.
And whatever challenges we have, we always seek the advice of senior staff or the team, and as we go forward daily.
And Ms. Ortega?
Teamwork. That's exactly what I would say. Teamwork is very essential in the ER.
Right. It must be a very exciting environment, though.
It is.
As well as nerve-wracking at the same time.
It is.
Expanding a little on Mr. Schneer's question, just what are the challenges that each of you face in your daily activities? And don't tell me teamwork is always there.
Well, patient volume is always a challenge. But we have done a lot of things in the emergency room to deal with the volume that we have. We've actually increased our staffing. We've increased the throughput of patients throughout the emergency room, which means we're trying to get to our patients a lot faster. We're moving them along during their stay in the ED, and also trying to get them, once they're admitted, to get them to their beds upstairs. So it's a daily activity for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of describing the daily activities that you might start with, I'll start with you, Ms. Ortega. How do you begin your day, and then what happens in a typical day?
I greet my staff members, the patients. I look at the surroundings, who's in need of medical attention, immediate medical attention. It's wonderful to be there and see the progress of patients getting better on a daily basis. What else can I say?
You see patients probably and their families in very serious crisis-type situations. How do you address that?
Well, number one, you have to be supportive of your patient and try to understand, because it can be a frightening experience. And at times, patients just need someone to guide them along and explain the process to them. So, it's a lot of customer service, answering questions, and be courteous to your patient at all times.
Now that you brought it up, since the ER is always a very busy place with a lot of activity occurring, how do each of you strive to maximize patient satisfaction? Because I think that's easier said than done. Tony?
So for patient satisfaction, we do a lot of rounding in the ER. For myself, I'll go around on each patient that's in the emergency room. So I'll start my shift by walking around the ER, speaking to patients, speaking to the staff, answering their questions, the family members also, answering their questions, taking care of any of their needs, to see where our staff needs support. Sometimes one area is busier than the other, so we will redirect staff to help out in each area.
Do you explain to the patients that they have to wait a long time sometimes? How do you do that with
Yeah, we do. We speak to the patient continuously, and a lot of reassurance. And we get the doctors involved also. Because the patient at times, they need a little bit of clarification and certain stuff. So we walk the doctor to the bedside and we explain as much as possible and let them know that, they're important to us.
Tell me the truth.
Yes, we do rounding, and what's gonna basically the area is expanding, the ER is expanding. We're gonna develop another area E, which is supposed to open up in 3 months or so. So that's going to also help with the volume and patient satisfaction in the ER. So the expansion alone.
Now, in terms of the action that Dr. Gumbs described, I mean, we often see all these interesting types of cases on television. Just how does the Bronx Lebanon ER compare to some of the television dramas? Is the action as intense?
Well, the action is always intense. It's a very busy ED. Regarding the drama, we call it controlled chaos in the ER. We always know what's going on in the emergency room. It can be busy. There's a lot of activities, but we are on top of the situation at all times. We know exactly what's going on with every single patient in our emergency room.
Let me ask you a question that gives a little reality to the place. What about stroke? We have a fair number of strokes coming to the emergency room. How do you handle a typical stroke? Just give me a couple of steps.
First, our nurses are very trained in identifying patients with strokes. So anyone with a stroke symptoms, if you come in, you're having weakness, slurred speech, our nurses are able to identify that. We inform the doctor immediately, and we start what's called a stroke protocol in the emergency room.
Tell me more about it. Yeah.
The protocol basically is that we alert a lot of different departments. We alert our lab, our radiology department, our neuro department, and everybody, as soon as we identify a stroke, everyone is now on the case.
You have a time limit on that, right?
Yeah, we certainly do. We have to, there is a goal to get our patients through this process within 1 hour.
Why?
Because we need to give them a medication actually that can reverse the effects of the stroke and actually help to reduce the long-term side effects from having a stroke.
Okay, so you have to move quickly.
Yeah.
Well, time is of the essence, and normally with a stroke, there is some form of blockage. There is a disruption of blood flow. So we try to get the blood going again, flowing to the part that's affected as soon as possible. Because the longer we take, there is more permanent damage to that affected area. So, we do everything on a time basis. We rush the patient to CAT scan to try to identify what is causing the blockage. And then we constantly liaise with the neuro and the attendant in the ER, and then we make a safe decision as to whether we can administer this clot buster medication.
Yeah. So you have a designated stroke team then?
Yes, we do.
And you
We're all
work...
certified. We're all certified with stroke protocol in the ER. All the emergency nurses in there.
So in terms of what individuals should do if they feel they're having a stroke, what is your advice? And I'll start with you, Ms. Ortega.
Well, once for the people that are watching, for the viewers that are watching, it's important for you to remember an acronym called FAST. If you feel that your family member or loved one is actually exhibiting a stroke, you can remember the acronym called FAST. You observe their face, ask them to smile.
Right.
If you see any drooping on one side, that's one sign that the patient's possibly having a stroke. Then the second one would be you would ask the patient the family member to lift up their arms and see if there's any, dragging of their arm, if it's equal. And then you would ask them also to smile.
Speech.
To
Yes.
speech,
Yes.
to talk. Simple sentence if they're slurred speech. And the last would be if you feel that they are having a stroke, please call 911. They need immediate medical attention.
Do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, absolutely. Time is of the essence because there is a window of 3.5 to 4.5 hours where you can receive this medication. So as soon as you identify it, it's important to get to the emergency room immediately. Then we will put our plan into effect because we have given this medications before and we did see what it can do.
So you've seen very dramatic results.
Oh, yes.
When you can, in effect, reverse the symptoms of the stroke, or you can reverse the stroke. Perhaps you can be a little more definitive.
Yeah, no, we have actually. We have seen the effects when.
Okay, we have a caller.
We have a caller? Yes.
We have a little technical problem. Could you state your name, please, and the question?
Yes, the name. My question is how do you determine what are the most serious cases that come into the ER, and how do you determine who gets seen first?
Okay, good. That's a plan for you, I guess. Tony, answer that. How do you pick your patients?
So we have our nurses that are trained for triage. It's a sorting process. All nurses are qualified. I mean, they all went to a 4-year college. They obtained their bachelor's degree. And so they are actually trained on doing what's a process called triage process. It's basically to sort patients out when you come into the ER. So they're the ones now determining who needs to see a doctor immediately or those people who can wait to see the doctor.
My part of the question is how do you tell the third patient that you are number 3?
It is not so easy to tell the patients you have to wait, but we do explain to them that people who come in, they're very critical. There are certain people who require resuscitation, means that we have to do CPR. They might have a stroke patient that comes in, they're required to get this medication that is going to save their life. And we do try to explain to patients as they come in regarding their length of stay.
Okay, on that note...
Thank you for the question, and I didn't get your name. I'm sorry.
I think we lost him already. But on that note, let's pause for a short break. When we return, we will continue our discussion as well as take calls from you, our viewers. Once again, the number to call is 718-960-7241. That's 718-960-7241. And please call us.
In this year of neonatology, we recognize the extraordinary and successful life-saving efforts of our neonatal team. Every day, they are truly making miracles happen for the tiniest of babies.
We have saved thousands of babies throughout the years. There is nothing more satisfying than knowing that because of our care and attention, they can live their lives to the fullest as healthy young adults.
We care for each of our newborns as if they were our very own, including educating parents and assisting them in navigating the new journey with their child.
Seeing is believing, particularly for Norma Rodriguez and Raul Velasquez, the proud parents of triplets Nyla, Nilani, and Nayeli, successfully delivered by Bronx, Lebanon's high-risk obstetrics team.
Gently, very good. Okay, very good. Number 3 out, beautiful, very fine.
Triplets are a rare occurrence. The baby girls were delivered by a C-section in excellent condition. They received follow-up care in the neonatal intensive care unit because of their low birth weight.
And when it comes to follow-up care for these triplets, as well as other neonatal graduates and newborns, Bronx, Lebanon's pediatricians are making sure that they receive the necessary support.
During the first year of life, we check a child's growth, their development, and give all the required immunizations. It's a great joy to us that we're able to tell parents that they have a healthy child.
There are times when premature infants have swallowing, hearing, or breathing issues. That's when Bronx, Lebanon's ENT specialists are called into action.
Our physicians, audiologists, and speech-language therapists work closely with neonatologists in assessing these medically fragile babies. When necessary, we correct the problem and also instruct parents on using safe feeding practices.
Vision is equally important for newborns.
In premature babies, the retinal blood vessels are at risk of developing abnormally, which can lead to blindness. We are one of the first hospitals in the nation to offer laser treatment to correct this condition.
The bottom line is that Bronx Lebanon is always there for its newborn patients and their families, as well as for the community. Its ER is a perfect example.
Our adult and pediatric emergency departments see more than 137,000 patients annually. We respond effectively to problems related to newborns, children, teenagers, and of course our adult and senior citizen population.
Bronx Lebanon also continues to lead the way in anesthesiology, dentistry, family medicine, medicine, neurosurgery, orthopedics, pathology, psychiatry, surgery, radiology, nursing, and long-term care. Its Bronx Care Network, including a soon-to-be-completed 9-story ambulatory care facility, as well as a new life recovery center for individuals that suffer from chemical dependency, is fulfilling Bronx Lebanon's role as doctor to the community.
We come to you live on BronxNet every Monday evening from 6:30 to 7 p.m. Please call us at 718-960-7241 with any questions you may have, and we will certainly do our best to answer them. Now let's continue our discussion. Mr. Ortega, a question we frequently ask our panelists is to share with our viewers their respective backgrounds. In other words, how did you get interested in nursing in the first place? And then even further than that, what made you choose a career as an ER nurse?
Well, my mother, she was a nurse in Ecuador. She was born there, raised there, and she migrated to the United States.
Right.
And she tried to continue her nursing degree here, but that didn't succeed. And I always felt like I wanted to be a nurse. So I continued.
Well, I was introduced to nursing by my elder sister. I'm from Jamaica, and she was a nurse in Jamaica. And I always admire her stories when she come home from work and speak about what she did in the ER. So that motivated me to become a nurse.
Right. And Mr. Ramgan?
He was drafted.
I was. I was. I started as a nurse's aide at Jacoby Hospital, and when I graduated as an RN, I went straight to the emergency room, and from there, and this was 22 years ago. And then from there, I became the charge nurse there for a while, and then I got drafted by Dr. John Coffey, the chairman of our department, to come and work in Bronx, Lebanon.
Okay.
And that's where I've been since.
Okay, in terms of the workplace, can each of you describe your own respective job satisfaction levels? I want to know exactly what makes you enjoy your job, if you do. Tony, you're first.
Yeah. I've been there for quite a while in the ER now, and the emergency room, it's a unique place to work. You never know what to expect when you go into work. There's no routine. So I enjoy that. I enjoy going to work not knowing what my typical day will be like. And I love caring for patients. I love working at Bronx, Lebanon, caring for this community. I've been in the Bronx practically all my life, and I love doing it.
Okay.
Well, my job satisfaction comes from taking care of patient, and returning patient comes back and, hugging you and say, "Oh, Mr. Smith, do you remember me?" I see so many patients that I tend to forget the faces, but my patient always remember me. So whenever I see that, I know that, yes, I did a good job taking care of this patient.
Well, I remember walking out of the ER, and I had an upset day, and a patient stopped me, and he says, "I don't remember your name, but I just want to tell you, you helped me feel better. Thanks to you, I left the ER, and that totally made me feel better."
That's good.
And I was very excited about helping him.
Now, Mr. Smith, along with Mr. Ortega is saying, are there specific cases or recent cases that you could call a patient success that you could share with our viewers?
Well, yes, I remember one day working in the code room / trauma room. We had a patient that came in that was very confused, and her blood pressure was through the roof. I suspected that she was having a stroke. A bleed in the brain, that's what we suspected. So we rushed her to the CAT scan, and yes, there and then she had a big bleed. And about 3 months after that, while triaging in the emergency room, that same patient came up to me and said, "Did you remember me?" And I had to put two and two together, but yes, after reflecting back, I remember that this was a patient that came in with this massive bleed and was able to walk back in the ER after our care that we provided.
Okay, moving back to the subject of stroke, is there a specific area in the emergency room that is dedicated to respond to that problem?
Yes.
And how does it function? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a resuscitation room. It's called a trauma room. It's a resuscitation bay where we have our attending and nurses and PCTs are assigned to. And that is a critical piece of, we have all the critical equipment in those rooms to take care of any patient that comes in. And that's where our stroke patients are placed. We have a cardiac monitor, you have resuscitation equipment, you have code carts. So those rooms are designated rooms for any critical cases.
Okay.
Now, what are some of the other types of problems that you commonly treat from, I guess, routine to serious in the ER besides stroke?
You have a patient that comes in with respiratory symptoms. Asthma is a very common disease that we treat. You have COPD, you have patients with diabetes. You have
GI bleeders,
GI bleed,
gunshot wounds, trauma cases, amputations,
sepsis.
All right, since you all are answering so well, I'm going to ask you a question, a real question. What we hear across the country that there's a long waiting time in the emergency room before you see the physician or the team member. You talk about teams. How is Bronx Lebanon addressing this problem? I think I have 2 minutes to do everything, but answer quickly.
Okay, so we have a great team that actually is focused on patient flow in the emergency room. It's not only the ER, it's also the doctors that's doing the early discharges upstairs. We have all the nursing managers who are meeting daily to expedite patient flow on the inpatient unit. In the ER, we have built a new wing that's being built right now to accommodate more patients. We have added more triage nurses to get to patients quicker once they walk into the ED.
I'm not so sure you answer my question, but let's go on, Errol.
Yeah, when we say ER team, what do we really mean? And
Errol,
the
I
last
think
question that I do want to ask each of you, because I know people in our audience are interested, how does a nurse get a job at your ER?
A nurse can get a job, and you can go onto our website. It's www.bronxleb.org. And they will see all the ER information.
So there are jobs opportunities out there. And on that note, let me thank each of you for joining with Dr. Gums and myself on tonight's HealthBeat television program. And most importantly, let me thank you, our viewers, for tuning in this evening.
In the interim, if you, our viewers, have a question or need assistance, I encourage you to call our physician referral service by dialing 718-99-BRONX. That is 718-992-7669. Or you can refer to our website at bronxcare.org. Good night, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
We are always there for our pediatric patients and their families, helping them overcome all types of emergencies.
They are the